I'm working on the Kia brakes, and I mentioned that this little piece here, the brake adjuster, had seized up, and it is seized up quite solid, look. So I'm going to show you a technique that might work but might not work. No, something that, you know, when you're doing repairs and mechanics and things like this, rust is one of our biggest enemies. And before we go out and buy one, because that's the normal thing, this is a fairly inanimate type object. If it breaks, it breaks, but there's a good chance, because it's made of good solid metal, that we can free it off. So let's use a technique that's worth a try without using penetrating oil, if we can help it. Let's see what we're going to do. The adjuster here is fixed here and fixed here, but there's an adjustment here. So that means there's a screw thread here, but it also must mean it turns somewhere inside, because if these two are fixed and you turn this, well, that means it's all going to turn, or this, if this bit's fastened to this, it's all going to turn. So it has to be made out of three pieces. We know that from old ones. So we've got quite a lot of freeing off to do. And what we're going to do is warm it up. Now this might take a little time, so I'm just going to show you basically what we're going to do. We've got our canister of MAP gas, and we've also here got a tub of very cold water. Alright, down there. So what we're going to do, heat this up till it's cherry red. So I'm going to stop this video now and come back to it when it's warmed up. This piece now is getting quite warm, so what we're going to do is quench it. We're going to shock it into submission. Alright, now we might have to do this 2 or 3 times, but it should work. Now I'm just using MAP gas. I could actually use the oxyacetylene, but you probably haven't got that, so we're going to try it again, warm it up and try it again. You can see I've got a bit of steel behind there to reflect the heat back into it. So let's give it a quench again. Oh, that's a bit better. Now, that was heavy. What we're going to do now is we're going to grip this in the vise. And oh, look at that! Look at that! I was going to put some freeing oil on it. That worked like a charm. Look at that. Who needs WD-40 and all that stuff? Just a tub of water. Hey, that's saving money. All those Yorkshiremen out there said, "Oh, by God, even putting water in there, that was expensive." So look at that. That is absolutely brilliant. I know it's still warm. And there you go. There's the thread inside. Now see if I can grip this without burning my hands. And there's the other thread. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? So we'll give it an extra cool down. That worked better. You know, sometimes when you do things real time, it works. Sometimes it works out better than you thought. So the next thing, I'm going to cool this down, and we're going to have a look at the other part to see where it actually moves. Oh, that's not too bad. So, wait a minute, get an old piece of scrap something or other, and we'll see how far that goes in. That goes into there, so that means this piece here must be a tube, and this must be a bush that needs to turn. So now let's concentrate all our heating onto here. Picking up a bit of heat now. Quench it. And do it again. Again, nice and cherry red. get a pair of pliers to move that steel because it's quite hot now. Now, are we going to get a result? Oh, trust your Uncle Michael, look at that! Look at that! No penetrating oil whatsoever. Now obviously you can't do this with a chassis bolt because you can't plunge your Land Rover up and plunge it into a bucket of water. But it just goes to show you that how you can get totally seized up parts nice and free. And you can see that black rust that's got into it. Look at that, that's horrible stuff. It's never had any anti-seize on it. I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to show you what it's like in a minute. After a trip to the sandblaster, well, the sandblasting cabinet, we can find out. Look at this here. This is how interesting. You see how loose that is? See how it's all loose, loosey-goosey? That's how much corrosion had built up. So what we're going to do, we're going to put a little bit of aluminium anti-seize on there and into the thread of that. And then we're going to wind this in, push that in that end, and there we go. That, see how nicely that thread has got all coated up? Look at that. That is free as a bird. Now, God's honest truth, this wasn't staged, it wasn't set up, but that's a way you can get small parts freed off using a bit of heat. Just be careful, it doesn't always work on aluminium because you can melt the aluminium before you melt the steel. But that's cheaper than going to buy a new part. And it's just as good as a new one. So I hope you like that. That's making your Land Rover better and a Kia at the same time. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.